speaker at the annual convention of those who wet themselves when speaking in public. And I want to start with a story. The year is 1925. Winston Churchill is a man known for his wit. Few can stand up to him. However, Nancy Astor is known as a fierce political debater. They are political enemies, and history records a situation, a dinner banquet, in which they're both to attend. Interestingly enough, they're scheduled to sit beside one another at this banquet. Many people are looking forward to this, and it did not disappoint. They are at each other's throats all night. One particular point, there's someone speaking up at the podium. There's a lull in conversation at the table. Nancy Astor leans over to Winston Churchill and says, "Winston, if you were my husband, I'd poison your tea." Churchill immediately responds, "Madam, if you were my wife, I'd drink it." Now, why do I tell you that story? I don't want to talk to you about Winston Churchill. I don't want to talk to you about politics or history, what have you. I want to talk to you about public speaking. And when speaking in public, you've got to have the audience's attention. Now, I have a challenge in front of me. The challenge is this. For the remaining time, I have to keep your attention captive while I communicate how to be an effective public speaker. So let me ask you a question. Why? Why should you even care what I'm saying? Why should you take time to learn this? Well, one, because you wet yourselves every time you speak in public. Two, closely related, who wants to look like an idiot when you're speaking in public? And the reality is, all of you and all of us, regardless of who you are or what you do, will speak in public. So, raise your hand if you want to look like a babbling fool in front of your peers when speaking in public. No? All right, we've got our why covered. Let's move on to the how. What I have before me is the top 10 hows to speak in public effectively. We're going to go through these. Number one, practice. Practice like you're the worst. Perform like you're the best. Now, to illustrate rule number two, I want to practice rule number two. To illustrate rule number one, I want to practice rule number... Forget it. Here we go. We're going to practice rule number two. When I count to three, I want you to... All right? 1, 2, 3. Good. You just did nothing. And doing nothing is hard. If you do anything, it's something negating the nothing. So when you first get to the podium, stand up and do nothing. That'll help put you at ease. The crowd starts to focus on you. You'll be able to move to rule number 3, which is start with a humorous story. Ideally, you can do this very quickly. Say something outlandish like, yeah, Dave was late because he said, look, guys, I forgot what time meeting was. I had to stop and get a Pepsi. Ideally, something as far-fetched as that will just get an immediate roar from the crowd. Puts you at ease. All right, number 4, be clear, be bold, build tension. I think we all saw this beautifully illustrated by our friend, Mr. T, when speaking to public about his breakfast cereal. And I quote, "I pity the fools who don't eat my cereal." Mr. T was very clear. He was very bold. He built that tension. What do? We ate the cereal. All right, let's move on. We've got number 5. Actually, yeah, number 5, tell a story. All right, let me tell you a story about a buddy of mine in college. He had a crush on this girl. Literally the pastor's daughter. Everybody wanted to ask this girl out. Everybody was intimidated to do so. He finally gets the courage, says, all right, I'm doing it. I may go down, but I'm going to go down swinging. Calls her up. The date's set. He's excited Friday night. Problem is, he has a test that comes up. He's like, look, I got to take this test. No way out of it. So he takes the test. He's running late for the date. He's really, nervous about it. Hops in his car. Problem is, he has an old car. No power steering, no AC, needs 4 new tires. Gets in his car, wrestles across town in traffic, runs up to the house, rings the doorbell, and realizes, I am pouring sweat. My shirt is wet. It's coming down. The girl answers the door, says, are you okay? Typically, my friend has the gift of gab, but he's so panicked because he's not practicing these 10 effective steps. In an attempt to say, my tires are bald, he says, my balls are tired. He doesn't realize he says, my balls are tired, until he sees the look on this girl's face and the fact that her brother, who's in high school, is sitting in the den behind her, and he leans over and looks out the door to see who is telling my sister that their balls are tired. All right, I tell that story because if you don't practice these 10 steps, next time you get up in front of people, you may say, my balls are tired. You don't want to do that. All right, 6, keep it simple. Bottom line, everything I'm telling you can be summarized in, follow these 10 steps, or you look like a tool bag that wets yourself. So, moving on. Number 7, eye contact. In the words of the Continental Army, wait till you see the whites of their eyes. All right, number 8, me, we, God, me, we. This is a format you want to follow. It starts with me. This is a problem. You can move it to we, like we all deal with this. Everyone here wets themselves when they speak in public. Then you interject God. Now, it's a format that works. It keeps the audience captive. And it also proves that, look, we're all sinners. We don't care unless it deals with us. So you speak in public effectively, and you prove the depravity of man at the same time. All right. Hand gestures.